Hello everybody, I'm Tom and I'm joined by a very special guest today, Omni Jacala, who's also known as Artsy Omni, and because Omni is the art director on Rollin Rascal. Welcome to Omni, congratulations on meeting the stretch goal. How's it been so far with the project response?
Oh man, it has been quite a whirlwind to say the least. We were not expecting, obviously we were hoping for a good launch, but we were not expecting to hit the funding goal on our first day, in 12 hours. So it's been very overwhelming, very exciting, and the community response has been very positive. So I can't really ask for a better result than that. So it's been great.
Well, all that goodwill built up over the years for the amazing projects Curiomatic has done, perhaps.
I hope so. I hope that's the case. I wasn't quite sure how much that would factor into a project like this, but it does seem to be helping us out, so I'm happy for that.
On a note that you told me, just to reiterate, the project's creator and lead developer is Gabriel Gonzales.
Yes.
Gabriel made what I tried the other day, kind of an amazing Sonic fan game, Sonic GT. Was that Gabriel's first foray into making Sonic-like games?
As far as I'm aware, it was actually his first foray into making games in general. Which is pretty impressive, I would say. He had worked on other people's projects in varying capacities, like working on levels and things like that. But as far as a full-blown game, that was just a personal project. That was his first go at it, and he did a pretty good job. So,
I'd say so. I mean, it's you could say this is a Sega game from 2006, and I would
Sure.
believe you. Now, Rollin Rascal, of course, still on Kickstarter. Many stretch goals to meet. What inspired the project in the first place?
So basically, the framework in Rascal is sort of an evolution of a physics-based platforming framework that Gabriel had been exploring and sort of evolving and improving over time. And so the goal with Rascal was to basically just be able to continue using that framework and to be able to take aspects of high-speed platformers and take parts of it that are often less interesting typically and try to explore how to make those aspects more appealing. And so, for example, something like combat is generally not a focus of high-speed platformers, and it's often sort of underdeveloped, and so you're typically running past enemies or through enemies. And so we wanted to find ways to make enemy engagement sort of a way to explore player expression. And so enemies are sort of a vehicle for you to engage with the level design in a more meaningful way and find more creative ways through the environment. And so that's just another way for people to express themselves through movement. So that's sort of the core of Rascal as a game.
To really point out in the demo, there's the Boral, which I love the name of because it's a boar barrel.
Yes,
and
people like
that.
that.
You definitely ride that, and it's kind of wild compared to Rascal. It's actually hard to get around, and if you hit something, it explodes. So
yeah, it's a very high risk, high reward kind of a dynamic with those guys.
But that's a perfect example of what you said, where it is literally a vehicle.
Yes, exactly.
Rascal plays soccer. Why is this important for Rascal's character?
Well, if we're being totally honest, it's largely because Gabriel's from Brazil, and that's a huge part of the culture there. But from a character standpoint, Rascal is a very active kid, so he values athleticism, and so I would imagine just being good at sports is something that he would care about. So I think it's a natural fit for him as a character.
Yeah, it's something nice instead of just running super fast through levels. To have these little moments that you've tried to put in that you can try to do, and you score a goal, there's actually confetti that comes down and stuff. It's a nice touch. Mm-hmm. But on that is the essence of Rascal summed up in the star rankings for going fast, wrecking stuff, and flexing. I was impressed. I loved the flexing one.
For those three sort of incentives specifically, I would say they're there to sort of highlight the youthfulness of Rascal. A lot of kids are probably, sort of preoccupied with showing off. so the game's designed is sort of a way to celebrate the things that Rascal would value or find fun and exciting. So yeah. I remember being a kid and finding a lot of joy in playing out different scenarios with my Lego figures and stuff like that. And it's fun for the good guys to wreck the bad guys' stuff. So I imagine that's sort of the energy that Rascal brings to his engagement with enemies and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. How did the collaboration between Gabriel and Curiomatic come about?
Yeah, so we did have that Mother 3 tribute. That's probably something that got a lot of industry eyes on us in our experience. Like when we went to GDC, we got to talk to people who were aware of that project, which was surprising to us. But if you've been following our stuff for a while, you've probably noticed that the channel's not been very active, and that's because for several years now we've actually been shifting and transitioning our focus to client work and creating art assets for indie game companies that are producing their own games. And so Gabriel reached out to us looking for help on the art asset design side of things. And so it was a very typical client-studio relationship at first, but as he became more involved with the work that we're doing, it became pretty apparent that there was a unique opportunity to take a project that he had already been working on for 3 years and transition into sort of a co-developing role. And so this is the first time that Curiomatic has had this sort of partnership with somebody like Gabriel, and it's been a very rewarding experience so far, and I anticipate that it'll continue to be, sort of a very flourishing partnership as we go forward. But it's been a really fun thing to work on, and I'm very fortunate to be in this position working on a game in a genre that I cherish so much.
Yeah, so you personally, you like Sonic, you play a lot of Sonic games too? I normally just assume Splatoon, but...
Right, yeah, Splatoon. But no, Sonic was the game that the games like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the GameCube was a game that I grew up playing, I want to say thousands of hours. I don't really know exactly how many hours, but, Sonic is very close to my core as a creative person, so yeah. It's been really cool.
On the note of Curiomatic, though, I know you have made a video game, but maybe not the entire Curiomatic team. What's it been like for Curiomatic to move from video to video game?
Yeah, I imagine from the outside in, it probably seems like a sort of sudden jump from working on videos about game development to be working on a game, but since we've been doing client work for several years now, it's sort of been a very gradual and organic transition to be working on our own project, that we've been more and more acquainted with all of the pipelines that are involved in development. So it's been a natural step to take for us. But this marks, I want to say, the 7th year that we've been working on, in the game development space in general. So I expect that, as the next few months or years go by, we'll probably see some of the other projects get revealed that we've been working on. So there's a lot of art that we've been making in the past few years that no one's seen yet. And so it's exciting to think about those finally coming out.
Don't tease me. Don't tease us.
I can't tell you anything beyond that.
Yeah, it really goes to show, Gabriel working on it for 3 years beforehand, Curiomatic working on this for over a year now. Mm-hmm. Just how much work there is even before the Kickstarter, and yet obviously there's probably still a lot more work to come too, but it really shows in that you can play the demo right now and see what it's like. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's probably not that common for Kickstarters to actually launch with a demo, at least in our observations. So all of that legwork that had been done prior to the Kickstarter has definitely paid off, and we have a very solid platform to be expanding upon. So it's been really beneficial to be able to put in that much time before actually launching a Kickstarter.
Yeah, from what I've heard, I remember John Romero was trying to create a new first-person shooter, and he really regretted kind of jumping the gun and not starting with a demo. So some of it is a Rollin Rascal is to add Mario-like rich world interactions with Mario Sunshine as one of the inspirations. What led to that thinking of adding Mario-like elements?
It was mostly trying to find a unique hook for this game. When people think of a high-speed platformer, they have pretty specific expectations for that. And so for us, we, when comparing something like Sonic and Mario, we would say that Mario probably interacts with the world in a more, intimate way. Just because you can kind of slow down and engage very specifically with the world. And so for us, we wanted to try to figure out a way to take that high-speed aspect and blend it with that more engaging interaction. And so finding a balance between fast-paced and creativity is tricky, but again, like with the enemies, that's another way to kind of create ways to seamlessly bring those kinds of interactions in a way that doesn't necessarily require you to slow down. So hopefully people are able to get sort of a unique flavor that they might not be expecting from the genre in that way.
Yeah, I really felt that I could explore through a level at first, then later if I wanted to go fast on a repeat playthrough, there was that opportunity. So I like the little spaces created in levels. It's like they're quite big, and like all the routes kind of converge into it, or they're there. I thought it was well done in the demo Buccaneer Bay level. So
yeah, glad to hear it. Yeah.
Is part of it the coins that are in there, the different colored coins, or is it like you're mentioning as stretch goals to have challenges like in Mario Sunshine that are more like smaller, focused things?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of ideas that we have for challenges, like being able to take away and a movement option. The coins are largely a way to telegraph paths through the level, but there's also, a way to reward exploration in that way. Just if you want to try to figure out what paths might be out of the way, you might find a coin somewhere, and that'll help you with other things that we haven't talked about yet. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta have future trailers and teasers to keep people interested. So, what has been the biggest or most fun? Well, I'll say biggest and most fun challenge so far on the design side and the art side?
On the design side, I think finding that balance between having like a high skill ceiling and also being accessible has been a tricky balance to figure out. Games that demand like a lot from your reflexes and your hand-eye coordination kind of present a barrier for a lot of people. So, not everybody's a professional speedrunner, right? So it's definitely been a tricky balance to find something that's approachable, and we're still trying to find that balance. But being able to watch Twitch streams and YouTube videos of people playing the game has definitely been very insightful for us to try to see how people are engaging with the way we've been designing the levels. But as far as the art side of things, we've definitely been having a lot of fun coming up with the cast of characters and building out this world, and we haven't really revealed a lot about the world yet, but that's definitely been like one of my personal favorite aspects of the development so far. I like world building a lot, and so I'm very excited to see if people like what they see when we get to experience the story more.
Wow, it's like one of the stretch goals is always to have QT as a playable character. You have the other character, Brisk, that'll challenge to a race, perhaps. You have the villain that's a silhouette right now, but that's all something to look forward to. So there are some time trial multiplayer levels in this. Now these, are they kind of like separate from the main world?
Yeah, so the levels in the multiplayer demo are entirely separate. We sort of see there's sort of a similar dynamic to a game like Splatoon, where the single player sort of serves as a way to become, acquainted with the way that the characters play, and you can take the skills that you're honing in the single player and bring that into the multiplayer to see how you can pit them against other players.
I'm just impressed there is multiplayer. Like, it's not an easy thing just to you can't just go I'll just shoehorn multiplayer in. Like, no.
Right, yeah. No, I think as far as like any sort of connection to maybe even the aesthetics of the multiplayer, there might be some sort of challenge aspects to the single player that might feel a little bit like the multiplayer, but the levels themselves in the multiplayer, totally their own thing,
Yeah. Is it about up to 8 players, or?
We're exploring how high we can get the player count in a single race. Right now in the demo, we've upped it to 16. I think early on we actually had it at like 20 something, but then we had to iron out some bugs, so we reduced it back to 16. But we're still just trying to figure out how much we can get away with in that respect. But we'd like to get as many people playing as possible in a single race.
Definitely that, and of course if you reach the stretch goal for speedrunning tools, that can help people. Was that inspired off watching these speedruns and stuff, or just something you want to do to let people be faster?
No, yeah, I mean, Gabriel's definitely always engaged with the speedrunning scene personally, so, we were actually watching a speedrunner on Twitch. But, speedrunning tools is definitely something that we value a lot, because the speedrunning community is like the lifeblood of a high-speed platformer. So it's any ways that we can enhance the experience for those people is very important to us.
What's it like getting dynamic music to work? I was surprised to see that's in there.
So we've been working with Scruffy, who you might be familiar with on YouTube, excellent composer. And adaptive music is something that all of us at Curiomatic really love to see. So Scruffy really wanted to integrate that in some way. I know that's also an aspect of the Pikmin franchise, and so that's something that we really wanted to get into this game. And so when you're really going fast, you'll probably notice that there's layers of the track that fade in as you're moving quickly, and so it's sort of a way to increase the exhilaration factor as you're keeping your flow state going. So that's been really cool to experience.
Well, and something too, I saw there's no actual cap on the speed that Rascal can go up to. Is that correct?
I'll have to ask Gabriel about that actually, but as far as I'm aware, you can go really fast if you're able to really manage your terrain and your momentum that way.
Yeah, at the end of the demo level, it's just like, wow, I'm glad this is not in VR right now. Otherwise, I would be having a problem. But
imagine rotating in a ball form in VR. What would that be like?
See, there's surfboards. Will Rascal surf?
Yes, we actually released on social media. We had a promotional render of Rascal riding a wakeboard, so that's going to be an aspect of the gameplay. I don't know that I can say too much about it yet, but we're definitely telegraphing surfing as a thing. So
this Curiomatic has one of their projects they worked on in the past, Snowboard Kids. Is that one of your favorites? Oh yeah,
Snowboard Kids. I don't know how popular Snowboard Kids was, or it even is back today, but I've got a soft spot for a lot of more obscure titles from my childhood. So Snowboard Kids is definitely one of those. I don't know how obscure it actually is.
As art director of the game, though, how does your average day work? I'm assuming you do have to make art, but what's it like also overseeing art?
What is that like? I mean, I don't actually do that much art asset work on Rascal specifically. My focus tends to be on client work, so being able to give feedback to other artists is a skill set that I'm still trying to hone, but it is a very rewarding thing to be able to sort of mentor people into and growing their skill set and being able to show them maybe little tips and tricks that they might have, and it's also fun to see them sort of surpass you in certain ways. So that's been rewarding, but I haven't really thought about what it's like to be an art director. I kind of just do it,
With the Kickstarter going on, though, what's the plan during it, and what do you think you'll be doing after? Like, will you get a bit of a refresh? Because I hear Kickstarters are like a job in themselves.
Oh yeah, it's been a lot of work. After the launch, it was a bit of a settle down period. I'm not stressed as much as I was going into the launch. During the Kickstarter, we're going to be focusing on putting out updates to the demo. So there's going to be some bug fixes and things like that, and we're also planning on releasing maybe something new that people haven't been able to experience in this current version of the demo. I don't know how specific I can get with that, but people will want to keep an eye out for updates on the demo. So yeah, it's going to be an evolving thing.
Any final words you'd like to add?
Very, very happy that people have been very supportive and very generous with their donations or their pledges on Kickstarter. And anybody who hasn't played the demo, it's a free demo. You can check it out and let us know what you think. If you want to upload videos about it so we can see the ways that players are engaging with the levels and things like that, that's been very insightful. Keep an eye out for updates to that demo because it's going to be constantly evolving thing.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Omni, for your time, and of course, I think for at least 28 more days around there on Kickstarter.com, search Rollin Rascal. Omni, is there anywhere that's best for people to follow you, if somehow they aren't already?
You can follow me on Twitter, I guess. I don't tweet a lot, but more importantly, follow Curiomatic and follow the Rollin Rascal on Twitter. On TikTok, follow Curiomatic. Instagram, Curiomatic. Just find Curiomatic. It's easy to find. So yeah, I'm not important. Don't follow my stuff.
Okay, well, we'll have links to that in the description below, and also Omni, despite what he says. So, until next time, everyone. Goodbye.